Hey everybody, I'm Alan with Dad's Playing Games, and this is the battle video for the third scenario of the Perilous Dark Expansion for my campaign where I'm playing through the Dark Alchemy and now Perilous Dark Expansions for the first edition of Frostgrave. Be sure to check the details below where you'll find the link to our introductory video for the Perilous Dark Expansion, as well as links to some of our other Frostgrave content, and you'll find timestamps in case you want to jump to a specific spot in this video, which will be featuring the Dog Days scenario. It's played on a 2.5 by 2.5 foot board. There are 4 time crystals placed on the board that need to be destroyed, and to do so you have to attack them. They have a fight +1, armor 16, and 1 health. They're immune to all shooting attacks, and they are able to deal damage to your soldiers if they win a combat. One interesting thing about them is you can actually move them with the telekinesis spell like you would a treasure token. Your warband starts within 6 inches of one corner, while the other 3 corners and the center of the board are 4 spawn points. 1 chrono hound starts at each corner spawn point, and 2 start in the center of the board. At the end of each round, if there are any time crystals still on the board, any chrono hounds that have been defeated respawn at a random spawn point. After all the time crystals and then the chrono hounds have been defeated, the scenario is complete and the warband is rewarded with 2 treasure tokens, one of which can be traded for your choice of any item from the magic weapon and armor table. No treasure tokens start the battle on the board, however. In a moment, we'll take a look at the state of Eirvathon's warband, then give a brief story recap of what's been going on since their last battle, and then we'll get into the scenario. But first, I want to discuss a rules assumption. In my last battle at the weapon shop, I gained 420 experience points. Now, in the Maze of Malkor expansion book, it has a number of optional rules. One of those rules is a limit of 300 experience points gained per battle. The rules for Perilous Dark specifically mention using some of the rules changes from the Maze of Malkor book. But since the experience section of the Perilous Dark book doesn't mention anything about using the experience changes from Maze of Malkor, I'm assuming that 300 experience points cap isn't used for the Perilous Dark scenarios. Plus, just completing the objectives in some of the Perilous Dark scenarios would nearly max out the experience gains without taking into account the experience points gained from casting spells. These factors make me assume the experience cap isn't used for the Perilous Dark scenarios. So I'll be giving Eirvathon the full amount he earned, and if you saw my last battle, I think he did in fact earn it. So, in Eirvathon's last battle, he passed 4 levels and upgraded his ability to cast Enchanted Arrow, Strength, Embed Enchantment, and Write Scroll. I found a Sword of Wounding and Healing and a Circlet of the Serpent, both of which I sold, and I found a Horned Helmet which I gave to my infantryman. I used most of my gold crowns to purchase the base resource of a kennel for my base. This allows me to add 1 warhound beyond the usual maximum to my warband. So combined with my inn, I can now have 12 soldiers in my warband. My returning soldiers are a thug, an archer, a tracker, the infantryman with the horned helm, Pierre the swordsman, and 3 soldiers that proved their worth in the last battle, Bronth the knight, the master thief, upgraded from thief to treasure hunter since he helped find and recover a sword in the last battle, and the warhound, named by my daughter for the battle prowess shown in the last battle, Death Striker. And the warband has brought along a guide with the stats of a thief and his loyal hound to take them to the Reaver's lair. Eirvathon begins this scenario at level 13, needing 35 experience points until his next level, and with no gold crowns in his vault. Battling their way through a colony of orcs that had infested an ancient weapon shop, and defeating an ogre that roamed there as well, Eirvathon and his warband managed to locate and open a secret cabinet that contained some masterful weapons and items decorated with gold and gems. However, as they fled, they realized not all of their soldiers would make it out of the shop alive. Back at their base, and having sold the loot they couldn't use, Eirvathon felt it was fitting to build a nice kennel for their warhound after the fearlessness and remarkable combat prowess it showed fighting against orcs and the ogre itself. During this time, one of the soldiers began examining runes and inscriptions on a blade he'd found. After doing some research, they discovered the sword once belonged to an elite mercenary unit called the Reavers, and the inscriptions held information about their ancient base, a place that might still contain their treasures. While looking for a guide, they found a man who had once lived in the area, raising and training warhounds. However, some strange orbs had thawed from under the ice, and they seemed to be changing his hounds from well-trained to savage creatures with odd magic abilities. The man agreed to join their warband if they would put an end to whatever evil was haunting his once precious animals. My table is all set up. Over here we have the deployment corner, and there are 5 time crystals, one placed in the middle of the board, one placed in the corner opposite my deployment zone, and then 2 on the sides that are not adjacent to my deployment corner. There are 5 spawn points, 4 spawn points, 1 in the center of the board, 1 in each of the corner that is not a deployment corner. And we have chrono hounds there, 1 in the corners and 2 in the middle. I have randomly determined that I will be the white die for this game and the enemy will be the green die. I'm going to cast my pre-game spells. We'll start with Reveal a Secret, Eirvathon on a 16, failure, and Jadis on a 18 essentially. That is also a failure, no revealed secret. Next we'll try Enchanted Soldier, Eirvathon on a 12. Nope, and Jadis 12 with a -2. Alright, the Enchanted Soldier will be coming. And we'll do Brew Potion, Eirvathon on a 14. Success, and Jadis on a 14 with a -2. Failure. Since I'm using the potion table from the Dark Alchemy book, I will brew a Potion of Preservation with the plan to sell this after the battle. One thing with the Dark Alchemy potions is that lesser potions, regardless of how much they cost to buy, can only be sold for 100 gold crowns. For my Enchanted Soldiers, Eirvathon is pulling together rocks and ice out of the glaciers to form a little glacial rock monster. We have the warband all set up here. We have the guide and his warhound. Then we have the thug, the rock and ice monster, Bronth the knight, Eirvathon the enchanter, the infantryman with the magical horned helm, the archer, Death Striker the warhound, the tracker, Jadis the apprentice, Pierre the swordsman, and the master thief. For their strategy, since they have to destroy all 4 of these time crystals, I think what I'm going to do is attempt to come down here to this one, head over to that one, then do that one, and then that blue one over there. We'll see if my strategy works. And my board is 2 inches wider than it's supposed to be and longer than it's supposed to be, so my warband is set up 7 inches from the corner instead of 6 inches, and I have pulled all of the time crystals in 1 inch from the edges instead of right against the edge. For my wizard phase, we'll have Eirvathon activate by himself and cast Strength on Bronth the Knight. Casting on a 7. Failure by 3. We'll just let that fail. Then he will move up here. Next, Jadis will activate by himself and he will cast Strength on the infantryman. On a 7 with a -2. Alright, that's an 8. That's successful. Then he will run up next to Eirvathon. For the creature phase, we'll start by having these 2 chrono hounds move towards my warband. And they can move to right there on a double move, not close enough to snap into combat. This yellow one can double move through here to right there. And since the Chrono Hounds can see through terrain, this one over here will double move up here. And down here at the far corner, this one can move up to here. For my creature phase, starting with my archer, he will run up here. And he will shoot at this Chrono Hound. A Chrono Hound is normally +3, but I moved, so +4 against +2 shoot. I got a 20. Bummer, against 22. My tracker will do essentially the same thing. +2 shoot, +4 defense. 19 against 8, so that is 9 damage on that Chrono Hound. Next, my enchanted rock and ice monster will run up and engage there on a double move. Next, this warhound will run down here, kind of loop around to engage there. The guide will run down and engage the green one. Next, Bronth will move on a single move into combat, and he will attack with double support. I'm a +8 against +3. 14 against 19, that's too bad. 6 damage on Bronth. Next, Death Striker will run down here. And from up above, he's going to attack with triple support. That puts him at +7 against +3. Oh no! He only got a 9 against a 17. Death Striker takes 7 damage. My Master Thief will double move, climb over here. I guess Death Striker just fell over. He'll engage right there. The Infantryman will run up here. Pierre the Swordsman will run over here on a double move. And the Thug will join him. At the end of the first round, since no Chrono Hounds were defeated, no monsters spawn at the end of the turn. And now to the Wizard phase, we will have Eirvathon activate with Bronth the Knight, the Infantryman, and the Rock Monster. And we'll start with having the Rock Monster attack that green hound with 1 health point left. With triple support, it is +6 against +3. I got only an 11 against 18. There goes my Rock Monster. And it crumbles into a pile. Next, we'll have Eirvathon cast Strength on Bronth. Casting on a 7. 11. Successful that time. Eirvathon will then run right over here. And we'll have Bronth attack with double support. With his strength, he is a +10 against +3. 27. That takes down that dog. 1 dog down. Then he'll run over here. Now that a pathway is cleared, my Infantryman will run over here, and he will use his Horned Helm to give him a +2 to his fight on a turn that he moved into combat. So he also has strength, so he's normally a +7, double supported at the moment. So he's a +11 against +3. Well, that's a 12 to 17. He takes 6 points of damage. It's actually +2 points of damage if he takes damage on this turn. So 8 points of damage. Jadis will activate by himself and will attempt to cast another Enchanted Soldier on a 12 with a -2. That's only a 4, failure by 8. He'll just let that fail. He takes 1 point of damage. Then he will run over here. Now to the creature phase, we'll start with this guy in combat. He will attack my Infantryman because he only has 2 health points left. My Infantryman with strength and double support is a +9 against +3. 18. He takes 7 more points of damage and he goes down. This could be expensive if he dies and I lose my magical helmet. Next, this Chrono Hound will engage my Knight. Normally, if a creature can get into combat with a spellcaster on a single move, they will do that. However, a creature will never intentionally move into combat with more than one enemy, and he cannot get into combat with Eirvathon without my knight or my treasure hunter being able to snap into combat. So he will engage my knight. My knight has strength, so +6 against +3. Wow. 21, that is 8 damage on Bronth, and he goes down. This Chrono Hound will double move over here. And the last Chrono Hound will double move over to here. Well, my warband is getting wiped out here. So now for my soldier phase, we'll have my tracker fire an arrow at this warhound. +2 shoot, +3 defense. That misses. And he will run down and engage this Chrono Hound. Next, my archer will fire an arrow at the Chrono Hound. +2 against +3, 12 to 18, miss. Then he will engage the blue Chrono Hound. Next, my Master Thief, the Treasure Hunter, will attack the Chrono Hound. He has double support. The guide is not in combat right now. +8 against +3. Well, luckily I had a lot of pluses to that. That's more than enough to kill that Chrono Hound. That one goes down. Then he will run in here. This Warhound will run down and engage this Chrono Hound. The guide will run over here and engage there. Death Striker with his 1 health point will run over here and engage this Chrono Hound. Then Pierre will run over here and attack with triple support, giving him a +10 against +3. 16 against 12. That's a hit for 6 damage. My Thug will run down here on a double move. And at the end of the round, these 2 fallen Chrono Hounds disappear. They'll each spawn at one of the 4 spawn points. We'll have 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the center. The green one at point 2 and the blue one at point 3. Alright, so we have the 2 Chrono Hounds who just rewound time to pop back up over there. For the next round, Eirvathon will activate with the Archer, Death Striker, and Pierre. And we'll start with having Pierre attack with triple support. +10 against +3. Well, I won with 12, so that is 2 damage. And unfortunately, it is still alive. Since Pierre won, he will push out of combat and run down to engage this Chrono Beast, Chrono Hound. Then Eirvathon is going to attempt to cast Enchanted Soldier on a 12. Failure by 6. Now let's go ahead and empower that. And he will reform this rock and ice monster right there. Then he will run up and engage this Chrono Hound. Then Death Striker will attempt to strike death on that Chrono Hound. With support, he's +7 against +3. Critical hit. Well, Death Striker goes down. Jadis will activate with the new Enchanted Soldier, and it will run up and engage here. And it will attack with triple support. It's a +6 against +3. Alright, 21. That's 11 damage. It goes down. As usual, the Enchanted Soldier's doing better than my other soldiers often do. Next, Jadis will run over here and cast Strength on Pierre on a 7 with a -2. Failure by 6. He takes 1 point of damage. For the creature phase, this Chrono Hound will attack my Warhound. I'm a +1 against +3. It got a 16, that is 6 damage on the Warhound. This Warhound will attack Pierre. +3 against +4. Alright, I got a 17, that's 7 damage. This Chrono Hound will double move to right there. The one back here in the far corner will run over to here on a double move. Now for the soldier phase, the Master Thief will run up here onto the table and attack that time crystal. Time crystals have a fight +1 with 16 armor and 1 health against my +4. It got a 15, but I got a 21. That is more than 1 damage, so it is destroyed. 1 time crystal broken. Next, my guide will run over here, staying away from the blue Chrono Hound, and engage the red one. My tracker will now take a shot at the blue one. There's 1 intervening terrain. +2 shoot, +4 defense. 18, that's 8 damage. Then he will run through here. My archer will run up here and fire at the blue one. I moved, so +2 shoot, +4 defense. That one misses. My thug will run up here, engage and attack with double support. I'm a +6 against +3. Alright, 18, that's 8 damage. It was down to 3 health, so it goes down. This warhound here will just stay in combat, and my enchanted soldier will move just out of reach of that warhound, so the warhound will have to move into him. End of the round, these 2 chrono hounds disappear. They'll spawn at points 1 and point 2. So we've got 1 down there and 1 back at the far corner. For the next round, Eirvathon will activate with the archer, and we'll have the archer take a shot at the blue chrono hound. You can kind of thread the needle between his 2 soldier friends there. It's a 2 against a 3. 16 shot, that is 6 damage. That one's down to 2. Then he'll run down here, and Eirvathon will run in here and cast Strength on the Master Thief. On a 7, got it. Then for Jadis, he will run up here, right in the middle of his buddies, and cast Strength on Pierre. On a 7 with a -2, that's successful. Alright, so I've got a couple powered up treasure hunters. Let's go ahead and move to the creature phase. We'll start with this orange one attacking my warhound. I'm a +1 against +3. And that warhound goes down. And then it can move 8 move units up here by my fallen warhound. Next, this chrono hound will engage my enchanted soldier and attack. It's a +3 against +0. Got a 12, its armor is 12, so no damage. In the back corner, this warhound can double move. Right up here. Then the green one can run up and move on a single move into combat with my Master Thief. It will attack with a +3 against my +6. I got a 16, it got a 7, so that is 6 damage on the green one. And the last chrono hound will double move over to here. For my soldier phase, Pierre will run up here on a double move. That's a +2 shoot against a +4 defense because I moved. Alright, that's a 16, 6 damage. Next, I'll have the guide do a double move around here onto the table to give support so my Master Thief can attack. With strength and support, he's a +8 against +3. That's a 9 against 12, so he takes 1 point of damage. My thug will now run up here on a double move, right over here in front of the tracker. And my enchanted soldier will just stay in combat with that chrono hound. And this last round, I didn't defeat any of the chrono hounds, so none of them will appear at any of the spawn points. And now we will move on to Eirvathon's turn, and he'll start out by firing an elemental bolt at this chrono hound. Enchanted arrow fires on a 9. 10, success. This is a +8 against +3. 12 to 13, that misses. Then Eirvathon will do a single move over to here.
For Jadis, he will activate with the Archer, and he will try an enchanted arrow at the Chronohound. Casting on a 9 with a -2. Alright, that's a 10, so that's success. That's a +8 against a +3. 17 to 20. Doesn't hit him again. Then he will run over here. Now the Archer will fire an arrow at the Chronohound. +2 against +3. 6. So that Chronohound is dodging arrows all over the place. Then he will run over here. Right, for the creature phase, we'll start with having this Chronohound double move through here, where he will engage my Master Thief. And now this Chronohound, engaged with both of these, will attack the Guide because he has less health. The Guide is a thief with +1 fight against +3 for the Chronohound. Hey, he actually won. That is a 14, -1 damage, so 3 damage on the green Chronohound. And that puts that green one at 1 health point left. Next, the orange one will move into combat with my enchanted soldier and attack with support. I'm a +0 against +5. I got a 13, so that's only 1 damage on my rock monster. And now the blue one will attack with support. +0 against +5. 9 to 8. It won, but doesn't get past my armor, so no damage that time. And now the last Chronohound will engage my Thug and attack. It's a +3 against my +2. Alright, 15. That's 5 damage on that one. And it had been shot already and had 4 health, so it goes down. For the soldier phase, we'll have Pierre run over here, and he will attack that time crystal. He's a +6 with strength against +1. 25. Another time crystal destroyed. My Thug will double move down here. And my Tracker will double move as well to there. Over here on this table, the Master Thief will attack the green Chronohound, who only has 1 health. No support is given here. It's a +6 against +3. Got a 15 to my 10, so my Treasure Hunter takes 4 damage. My Enchanted Rock Monster will just stay in combat, as will my Guide. At the end of the round, there is 1 Chronohound that was defeated. And he pops up at spot number 3, which puts him down there in that corner. Actually, probably one of the best spots for him to show up. For Eirvathon's turn, he will activate with the Archer, and he will start by casting Enchanted Weapon on the Master Thief's sword. Casting on a 7, success. Then Eirvathon will move up here. And the Archer will run over here to engage this Warhound. So now all 3 soldiers are engaged with the green one, and just the Master Thief is engaged with the red one. Jadis will now activate and cast Strength on the Thug. Casting on a 7 with a -2. It's a 1, failure by 6. He takes 1 point of damage. Then he will run over here. For the Chronohounds, I've kind of forgotten that they're supposed to activate in health order, so I'll make sure to do that going forward. But this one here can double move and snap into combat here. It's the only one of my soldiers it can reach. Next, the orange one will attack with double support. That'll be a +7 against my +0. Got a 12. That doesn't get past my armor, so no damage. Next, the red one will attack my Master Thief. No support is given for either of these, so +7 with my Enchanted Weapon, and strength against +3. I got a 12, so that is a dead Chronohound. The next Chronohound to activate is this blue one with 2 health, so he will attack with double support. My +0 against +7 attack. 11 hit wins, but doesn't get past my armor again. And the last Chrono Hound to activate will be this green one, and he will attack my Master Thief because he has the least amount of hit points here. So he's a +7, double supported. So I've got an 11 against +3. I got a 20 against a 5, another dead Chrono Hound. For my soldier phase, starting with Pierre, he will double move through this rough terrain, which will only allow him to move to about right there. And now my thug will double move through this doorway and engage that time crystal. Then my tracker on a single move will also engage, and he will attack. He has a fight +4 against fight +1. I got an 18 to 14. It does -1 damage, so that's a 17. It has an armor of 16 and only has 1 health, so that's just enough to defeat it. One more time crystal down. Next, my Master Thief will run out of this central room to there. My Enchanted Soldier will just stay in combat there, and I will not move my guide. He's going to stay here and help defend against anything that might spawn here. 2 Chrono Hounds went down that round. We'll see where they spawn, starting with the red one, point 1, and the green one, point 3. That is actually really good luck with them spawning down here. If they'd been in the middle, they would have been tying up these 2 soldiers, and if they'd been over here, they would have given me trouble breaking that last time crystal. Eirvathon will move over here, and from there he will cast Enchant Weapon on the tracker's bow, casting on a 7, success. And Jadis will move over here, and from there he will cast Strength on the thug on a 7 -2, success. For the creature phase, starting over here, we will have the yellow one attack my Enchanted Soldier. With double support, this is a +7 against +0. And that finally did it. My Enchanted Soldier goes down. Then, unfortunately, it can run in here and snap into combat with my guide. The orange one, on a single move, can snap into combat. Also with my guide, and he can attack. With support, he is a +5 against +1. 19. That is 9 damage on the thief. The guide is down to 1. Next we'll have this Chrono Hound move up. It can weave through here. Can't quite get into combat though on a double move. And this Chrono Hound over here can double move to right here. And lastly, this Chrono Hound can double move. He can more easily get to the archer, so that's who he'll go to. This hound only has 2 health points left. For my soldier phase, my Master Thief will double move into combat. Then Pierre the Swordsman will run up and attack with support. With support, he is +8 against +1. Alright, 23. The final time crystal is destroyed, which means the Chrono Hounds will not respawn anymore. Next, I will have my tracker with his enchanted bow fire at this Chrono Hound. +3 against +3. And that misses. Then the tracker will just run back here so that he can be within 3 inches of Jadis. And then my buffed up thug will run over here to right there on a double move. My archer and my guide will choose not to fight. For the next round, Eirvathon will run over here on a single move and then fire an enchanted arrow at that Chrono Hound. Casting on a 9, 11, success. +8 against +4 because I moved. Alright, I got a 20. That is 10 damage. This Chrono Hound goes down for good. Jadis is just within range of this tracker to activate with him, and he will move over here climb up this. And from there, he has a straight shot here to cast Enchanted Arrow. Casting on a 9 with a -2. Ugh, failure by 11. That's 2 damage. It was actually a failure by 10, but still 2 damage. Next, the tracker will take a clear shot at the Chronohound with the Enchanted Bow, +3 versus +3. 10, no damage. And he will just move here so that the Chronohound cannot get past him to get to Jadis in a single move. Now this Warhound, getting mad at all these arrows being fired at him, will run up here, engage the tracker and attack. +3 against my +2. 18. Since I've got a staff and light armor, my tracker takes 6 damage. Here in the middle of the board, we'll have the yellow one attack the guide with support. +5 against my +1. 22. The guide goes down. Falls off the table. The yellow one moves to engage. The orange one moves to engage and attacks with double support against my archer. +7 against my +2. It got 22 and I got 21. So unfortunately, that's 11 damage. He goes down. If only he hadn't been double supported. Last, this blue Chronohound will now engage my thug and attack. He's +3. My thug has strength, so +4. I got a 21 against 15. That one goes down. I only had 2 health left. The treasure hunters up here will both double move. Pierre comes over here by Eirvathon, and the Master Thief comes over to assist the tracker in this battle. My thug, for his move, will just move back here to be close enough to activate with Eirvathon. Alright, new round with no Chronohounds spawning. Eirvathon will activate with Pierre and the thug, and he'll start out by launching an enchanted arrow at the orange hound. Casting on a 9. 10, perfect. This terrain here does block the view just a little bit, so 1 intervening terrain. I've got a +8 against +4. I got a 26 against 14. I win. 1 more Chronohound down. Pierre now can, on a single move, snap into combat with this hound. So he will do that. With strength, Pierre is a +6 against +3. 18, that's 8 damage. And the thug will now run up and snap into combat and attack as well, now with support. He's got strength and now support, so again +6 against +3. 21 to something else. Math's hard right now. The Warhound goes down. Now for Jadis, he will activate with the tracker and the Master Thief, and he will cast strength on the tracker. On a 7 with a -2. 9, that's successful. Then he will move into combat with the Chronohound. And the Master Thief will attack, normally a +7 with his enchantments, and double supported for 11 against 3. 18 to 17, that is successful for 8 damage. It's down to 2, and now the tracker will attack. With strength and support, it's a +8 against +3. 11 to 12. He loses, but doesn't take any damage because of his staff and light armor. Well, I thought for sure one of those two would have defeated that Chronohound. So now the Chronohound is going to attack Jadis. Jadis is normally a +1 because he fights with a hand weapon and a dagger, and he's double supported, so +5 against +3. Alright, 16 against 8. That is enough to put the finishing blow on that guy. And with that, all 5 of the Chronohounds have been defeated, and the scenario is won. Well, despite some bad early rolls, which left some of my most powerful soldiers lying on the ground and made a lot of my spells fail, my team ended up winning this one, And so now we'll check out the battle results. So 6 of my 12 Warband members made it off the board, and for completing the scenario I am given 2 treasures, so that is them there. Now we need to find out the fate of these soldiers. Starting with this Warhound, he is fine. Death Striker, he is fine. The Guide, he is dead. The Archer, he is wounded. The Knight Bronth, he is fine. And now my infantryman with the horned helmet. This will be an expensive loss if he dies. 2! He is dead. For my treasure tokens, I am allowed to trade one of these tokens in this battle for any item from the magic weapon and armor table. So I will trade this one in to get a hand weapon +2. And I will roll this one on the Perilous Dark treasure table. 17. A 17 is a Barbarian's Blade. This is a pretty powerful two-handed weapon. So it came out of this battle with some good weapons. For out-of-game spells, I will attempt to cast Embed Enchantment on the Master Thief's Sword. Eirvathon casting on a 10. Success. And now Jadis will also attempt to embed the enchantment that is on the bow that I enchanted during the battle. This is on a 10 with a -2. Failure. Next, Eirvathon will attempt Right Scroll on a 12. Failure, and Jadis on a 12 -2. Oh, that's 12. Success. He will create a scroll of Reveal Secret.
As well as the hand weapon +2, Barbarian's Blade, embedding a hand weapon +1, and writing a scroll of Reveal Secret, Eirvathon's experience gains were 120 for casting 12 spells, 200 for defeating all 4 time crystals, and 60 for having 6 members standing at the end of the battle, gaining 380 total experience points and passing 4 levels. This battle didn't start out too well. I had a number of failed spells in the beginning, and early on, both my knight and my horned-helmed infantryman, who were both buffed with strength spells, fell in combat. And I think that horned helm was cursed because he failed a +11 attack and then a +9 attack, which ultimately led to his permanent death. But my team eventually pulled things together. They started successfully casting their spells and winning combats. And although my first enchanted soldier crumbled into a pile pretty quick, the second one that I raised up ended up at one point holding off 3 of the Chrono Hounds, which let the rest of my team advance further down the battlefield. I got a good amount of experience points, and I found some pretty cool magical weapons, including finally creating one with Embed Enchantment. With this scenario, I realized after playing that I may have made a slight mistake. The wording with the time crystals never says you are in combat with them. Rather, they just say you can attack them if you're not in combat. Because of this, I think you can't technically add support with another figure because you have to be in combat with the same target to give support. This ruling would have affected one of my rules and caused me to not actually deal enough damage to get past the armor of one of the time crystals, and it might have led to another round of spawning Chrono Hounds. So just keep this ruling in mind when you play. For strategy tips, my main suggestion is to focus on delaying the enemy instead of killing them. Because if you kill a Chrono Hound, they're just going to respawn at the end of the round anyway. So assuming you've got some soldiers available to advance, keep some of your soldiers back to just simply engage and sit there with the enemy. And then let the Chrono Hounds attack you instead of focusing on attacking them. This will reduce the overall attacks made during the game, which can help prolong the life of your soldiers. And I didn't find the combat to be too difficult, especially compared to the first 2 scenarios. I think I only fought 13 Chrono Hounds in this scenario, compared to the 27 enemies I fought back in the weapon shop. So for the first time since a viewer reminded me to never split the party, I'm actually recommending to split up for this one, to have some of the soldiers focused on occupying the enemies, while other soldiers are focused on advancing down the battlefield towards those time crystals. But I'm sure I'll be following Andreas' advice again in the future battles. And lastly, plan out your route to the time crystals ahead of time so that you can limit how much backtracking you have to do to get to all 4 of the time crystals. So let me know in the comments below what your experiences have been with the Dog Days scenario and what you thought about my playthrough. And be sure to check out our next video, which will be the scenario, The Reaver's Crypt. We want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to add a like or a comment below, or subscribe so you can keep up with all the content we're releasing. And with that, I'm Alan with Dad's Playing Games, and we'll see you on the next video.